Hi, I'm Dan Chambers of Chambers Law Firm. Thank you for visiting my website and watching this video. Today we're going to talk about a huge body of law that involves the crime of murder. And we'll do a series of videos that drill down on specific topics, but today I wanted to give a brief overview of the different types of murder that there are under California criminal law. In short, there are two classes or two degrees of murder in California, first and second. Obviously, with first-degree murder, the penalty for that is stiffer than it is for second-degree, and there are several different varieties of first-degree murder. The most common type of first-degree murder you hear about is a murder that is called premeditated and deliberated, or premeditation and deliberation. What that means is that the alleged killer planned the murder ahead of time, and that there were steps to deliberate, reflect, and think about it before it was actually committed. That's the most common type of first-degree murder that you encounter. But there are other types that can also be alleged by the prosecutor. The next most common type of first-degree murder is what is called felony murder. Now this gets a little tricky because the person that's actually engaging in the alleged crime doesn't have to intend to kill anyone. It can be an accidental killing and still count as a first-degree murder. Let me give you an example. Let's say that someone enters into a house with the purpose of committing a burglary or a robbery inside the house of an individual, and during the course of that robbery accidentally kills the homeowner in the process, or during the commission, or even during the flight from the house. That person under California law can be charged with first-degree murder as what's called felony murder. Now it doesn't apply to all felonies. There's only about 10 to 12 felonies that actually will qualify for a first-degree murder. But the most common are robberies, burglaries, arsons, and sexual crimes. And the final type of first-degree murder that you most often see has to do with the way that the murder is carried out. For example, California allows first-degree murder to be charged if there's a person lying in wait or an ambush, if you use a destructive device or a bomb of some type, or if it happens to be a shooting that occurs from a vehicle. A classic example is a drive-by shooting. Those, in a nutshell, are the most common types of first-degree murder. Now, it's important to remember they all require the intent to kill, except for felony murder. Felony murder can actually happen accidentally. Now, as is the case with all types of murder, there also has to be what's called causation. The prosecutor has to show that the act that the alleged killer did was the actual cause of death. I'll give you a quick example. I just handled a case where the whole issue in the case was whether or not the person caused the death of the victim. In that case, the person was beaten up, taken to a hospital, and later, after recovering from the beating, died from an infection that occurred at the hospital. Because there was no causation from the acts of my client, the crime of murder was not appropriate. Let's talk about second-degree murder. It's a big category because it basically includes any type of murder that's not first-degree murder. But again, there are common examples. The most common example of second-degree murder is where somebody intends to kill the victim, but there's no premeditation and deliberation, meaning they didn't plan it. They did intend to kill them, but there was no period of reflection or planning before it was actually carried out. Another common type of second-degree murder you see is a murder that occurs when the person's engaging in an act that the law defines as a conscious disregard for human life. It's a pretty broad category, so inevitably courts struggle with what type of inherently dangerous act might apply. But if you're engaging in a high-speed chase through a public shopping mall parking lot and you end up killing someone, you might be looking at second-degree murder charges because if you're speeding through a busy parking structure, there's a high likelihood that somebody could get killed because of your driving. The final type of second-degree murder that you often see is a DUI. Actually, under California law, it's possible to have a second-degree murder charged as a DUI. It's called a Watson murder, and it's a killing that takes place when somebody is under the influence of alcohol, drugs, or both. It's rare, but they can be charged, and if the facts are bad enough, high blood alcohol level, maybe the person has priors. I handled one case where the individual was driving down the freeway the wrong way. If the facts are ugly enough, the prosecutor can start out alleging a second-degree murder in the context of a DUI. We'll be doing more videos in the future on specific topics, but that in a nutshell are the types of murder in California, both first and second degree. I hope you found this video helpful. If you have any questions, you can always call our office. We'll be happy to talk to you, and we always provide a free consultation. Thank you very much.